not death, not life, not angels, not things present, not things to come, not height, not depth, not any created thing. Nothing can separate you from His love. Yeah. Death came close enough to whisper, and it couldn't break the holding. Every force that tried to sever what He promised kept on folding. Folding underneath the weight of what was written in the eighth. Every nothing can separate is more than just a statement of faith. Faith declared it, Romans 8 secured it in the spirit. Every principality that tried to cut the cord, He wouldn't hear it as a valid claim, because the covenant was stronger. Every death and life and angel that came, nothing held on longer. Longer than a God whose love predates the very formation. Every created thing that came against His love met termination. Termination of the claim that anything could breach this covering. Every force of separation found itself recovering. Recovering from nothing, cause the love just kept on standing. Every height and depth and power found a covenant commanding for surrender to a love that won't be severed. Nothing can separate, and that was always true forever. Nothing can separate, nothing can't divide. Every force that came against His love just had to step aside. Because the love of God in Christ is no condition. Nothing can separate, that's the Romans 8 position. Death can't do it, life can't do it, angels couldn't sever it. Every present thing and future thing, He covers every bit of it. Nothing in creation has the power or the clearance. Nothing can separate, and that truth needs no interference. Present things arrive with all their pressure and their weight. Every current situation tried to tell me it was too late. Late for the connection, late for the covenant, late for the love. Every present circumstance just met the hand above the situation, above the diagnosis, above the failing. Every nothing can separate, kept the love from derailing from its course, derailing from its target, derailing from its object. Every force of present things against His love I object on the grounds that Romans 8 already sealed it. Every present thing that came against His love just kneel before a covenant that predates the present moment. Every future thing that's coming, He already owns the component. Nothing can separate, and that truth keeps on drumming through the atmosphere of every dark and heavy season. Nothing can separate, and love is always the reason. Powers rose against the love and found themselves outpowered. Every principality advanced and found itself devoured by a love and fights for what belongs to heaven. Nothing can separate, and that truth multiplies by 7. Every force that came to cut the cord just kept on dying at the feet of an unbreakable connection. Every nothing can separate His love in every direction of the height, He's there, direction of the depth, He's there. Nothing can separate, and love just keeps on dancing through the darkness, dancing through the separation. Nothing can separate, secured by His foundation. Nothing can separate, nothing can't divide. Every force that came against His love just had to step aside. Because the love of God in Christ is no condition. Nothing can separate, that's the Romans 8 position. Death can't do it, life can't do it, angels couldn't sever it. Every present thing and future thing, He covers every bit of it. Nothing in creation has the power or the clearance. Nothing can separate, and that truth needs no interference. Search through every category that the enemy presented. Every death and life and power in the future all relented in the face of what was purchased on the cross. Nothing can separate, and love absorbed the total loss. Message of a love that crossed the greatest gap in history. Every force against His love just became part of the mystery. Nothing can separate, and that's the song I always sing. Sing about a love that death itself cannot extinguish. Distinguished is defeated at the empty tomb on Sunday. Nothing can separate, from Monday back to Sunday. Sunday through the seasons, through the battles, through the darkness. Nothing can separate, and love remains the hardest thing to comprehend, but easiest for resting. Nothing can separate, and that's my only question answered fully in the 8th chapter of Romans. Nothing can separate, and love remains the ocean. Not death, not life, not now, not ever. Nothing can separate you from his love. Nothing. Oh, every enemy is real. Yeah, every enemy, your name was already named before you knew it. Every force that rose against your life, he already went through it. Yeah, through it and came out on the other side still standing. Every giant in your vision is already crash landing, landing at the feet of one who never lost a confrontation. Every enemy you're facing just became his demonstration. Demonstration of a power that requires no negotiation. Every foe that formed against your life met its termination. Termination signed before they even had a strategy. Every enemy you serve is smaller than the God in me. Be a vessel of a God whose size defies the measuring. Every enemy assigned against my life was just a seasoning. Seasoning the testimony, seasoning the call and seasoning the story. Every enemy that came my way just handed him more glory. Glory that required an opposition worth the defeating. You serve a God who's bigger, and that truth keeps on repeating. Bigger than your enemy, bigger than a giant. Every force that rose against your life, he stayed defiant. Defiant in his power, defiant in his coverage, defiant in his size. You serve a God who's bigger. Open up your eyes that only see the enemy, forget who's standing with you. Every giant in your way already lost the issue. Issue of who's bigger was already settled long before. You serve a God who's bigger, and they know the score. Looked at every Goliath and forgot about the army. Every enemy I magnified just tried to disarm me from the truth that what is in me is the greater. Every force against my life just met the ultimate creator. Creator of the mountain that the enemy is standing on. Every dark assignment sent my way was built upon the ground that God already owned completely. Every enemy that came for me just miscalculated deeply underestimated what was living on the inside. Every force of hell assigned to me just couldn't find a way to hide the fact that he who's in me towers over everything. Every enemy that tried to stop my life, watch what I bring the name that makes the darkness scatter and the giants tremble. You serve a God who's bigger, and the enemy can't resemble anything that comes remotely close to his authority. You serve a God who's bigger, and he fights with full priority. Look at what you're afraid of. Now look at who you serve. Tell me which one is bigger. The enemy already knows the answer. Now you know it too. Greater is he that is in you than anything that's in the world. Every enemy that came against you, watch that truth unfurl. Unfurl like a banner over every battlefield they chose. Oh, you serve a God who's bigger, and that's how every story goes. Goes from giant standing tall to giant facing ground. Every enemy that came for you just turned to lost and found. Found defeated, found diminished, found reduced to nothing standing. You serve a God who's bigger, and that truth is never bending to the size of what the enemy presents today. Every foe that blocked your path was always in his way. Way of a God whose size makes every opposition smaller. You serve a God who's bigger, and his name just keeps on calling. Your enemy bigger than the giant. Every force that rose against your life, he stayed defiant in his power, defiant in his coverage, defiant in his size. You serve a God who's bigger. Open up your eyes that only see the enemy, forget who's standing with you. Every giant in your way already lost the issue of who's bigger was already settled long before. You serve a God who's bigger, and they know the score. Every enemy you magnify just shrank inside his presence. Every force that blocked your path just lost its adolescence of a power that was never really grown up. Every giant in your story, God already shown up in the valley, shown up in the fire, shown up in the battle. Every enemy that came for you just turned into dead cattle of a field that God already claimed is conquered. Every force against your life, he left them all dishonored to decide what he does with those on discovering new levels every time the enemy advances. Every foe that came against your calling never had their chances. Chances slim to none the moment God decided you were chosen. Every enemy against your life, that power already frozen. Frozen at the name that towers over every opposition. You serve a God who's bigger, and that's your only position. The enemy is real, but God is bigger. The enemy is loud, but God is louder. The enemy is strong, but God is stronger. You serve a God who's bigger, and that settles it.
You don't need to see the whole road. You just need to know who is walking with you. Every step is covered. Every obstacle is calculated. Keep moving. He already knows the way. Every obstacle they placed along the road was miscalculated. Every barrier they built against my path was overrated. Overrated by a darkness that forgot who guides the walking. Every step I take is someone doing more than just the talking. Talking through the valley, talking through the detour, talking through the mountain. Every guided step I take draws from an unlimited fountain. Fountain of a wisdom that anticipated every barrier. Every obstacle that came against my path just made me carrier of a testimony built inside the navigation. Every guided step produced a deeper level of foundation. Foundation that the obstacle itself was always building. Every step that looked like wrong direction, he was shielding me from something that the shortcut would have cost me. Every obstacle that blocked my path was heaven's way of crossing off the dangers that the easy road was hiding. Every step I take, his hand was always guiding. Every step he guides it, every road he knows it. Every obstacle that blocks the path, his wisdom shows it for the detour that was always in the planning. Every guided step lands exactly where he's landed. Landing on the purpose, landing on the promise, landing on the calling. Every obstacle they placed before my feet kept me from falling into something that looked good but wasn't right. Every step he guides, and he sees further than my sight. Proverbs said it clearly, trusting he will make it straight. Every obstacle I faced was just him managing my fate. Fate of someone walking in a plan that predates every barrier. Every step I took in trust just made the journey carrier of grace, carrier of covering, carrier of direction. Every obstacle was just his hand of course correction. Correction not of punishment but of divine precision. Every guided step was always wrapped inside his vision. Vision that extends beyond the visible horizon. Every obstacle that blocked my path was just the sun rising over something he was building in the process. Every step he guides removes the weight of my distress. The stress of someone walking without knowing where they're going. Every guided step replaced the fear with something growing in the confidence that he has gone before me. Every obstacle became the evidence he's for me. Didn't promise that the road would always open up before me. Every guided step through obstacles just added to my story. Story of a man who walked through what he couldn't understand. Every step he guided, I just had to hold his hand. Hand that knows the ending, hand that knows the detour, hand that knows the timing. Every obstacle that blocked my path had heaven's perfect lining of a purpose that the straight road couldn't carry. Every guided step through obstacles made ordinary extraordinary. Extraordinary is the life that moves through every blockage. Every step he guides dismantles every obstacle and stoppage. Stoppage is the word they use for someone walking without guidance. Every guided step I take, he fills me with his rightness. Every step he guides it, every road he knows it. Every obstacle that blocks the path, his wisdom shows it for the detour that was always in the planning. Every guided step lands exactly where he's landed. Landing on the purpose, landing on the promise, landing on the calling. Every obstacle they placed before my feet kept me from falling into something that looked good but wasn't right. Every step he guides, and he sees further than my sight. Still walking through the obstacles that lined up in my seasons. Every guided step through what I couldn't see had every reason that unfolded only after I had passed it. Every obstacle that tried to stop me, he outlasted every barrier, outlasted every
Every blockage outlasted, every closing, every guided step I took. He was always proposing something better on the other side of every barrier. Every step he got just makes me so much more familiar with a God who doesn't panic at the obstacle. Every barrier they built against my path was just illogical to think that what he started gets derailed. Every guided step through obstacles confirmed he never failed to show the way, failed to clear the vision, failed to light the path. Every obstacle was just his redirecting aftermath of a love that wouldn't let me settle for the shortcut. Every step he got, and that is always the output. Every step already covered, every obstacle already calculated, every road already known. He is guiding. Keep walking. Keep walking.
Heard the voice before the battle, and it stopped me in my tracks. Every fear I ever carried, metal word that pushed it back into the nothing that it always really was. Commanded, not suggested, that's the difference. Because the one who spoke it already walked the road before me. Every giant, every valley, every darkness he explored me. Explored the territory and declared it mine already. Every be strong and courageous moment keeps me steady, not because the battle isn't real and isn't heavy. Every I commanded you means I already made you ready. Ready, not in feeling ready, not in natural preparation. Every did I not command you was a full authorization to advance on what was waiting on the other side. Every be strong and courageous was the word I used to hide from in the comfort of the ordinary and the known. Be strong and courageous, and you will not walk alone. Did I not command you? Be strong and courageous. Every fear you're feeling right now, go let it cage us from the territory. I already gave the order. Be strong and courageous. Step across that border between the fear and everything I promised. Did I not command you? And my word is always honest. Honest with the battle, honest with the victory, honest with the road. Be strong and courageous. I'm with you where you go. Joshua stood at the edge of everything uncertain. Every voice that doubt inside him tried to pull the curtain down before the crossing, curtain down before the entering. Every be strong and courageous was the word that kept delivering the courage that the natural couldn't manufacture. Every did I not command you was the ultimate compactor of the fear, compactor of the hesitation. Every step across the Jordan was divine authorization from a God who doesn't sin without equipping. Every be strong and courageous kept the chosen from the slipping back into the wilderness of comfortable and known. Every promised land required someone willing to be shown the courage that the command itself was carrying. Every did I not command you was the thing with marrying the promise to the posture of advancing. Be strong and courageous and watch what God is dancing. Did I not command you? I said it before the battle, I'm saying it now. The Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So go! Terrorized and dismayed were never in the vocabulary. Every be strong and courageous made the ordinary extraordinary. Extraordinary is the life that moves on his command alone. Every did I not command you means you never walk unknown. To the one who clear the path before your foot arrived. Every be strong and courageous is the reason you survive the seasons that were built to make you stop advancing. Be strong and courageous and keep moving. Keep on dancing through the fear, dancing through the opposition. Every did I not command you seal the original mission that was set before the enemy had input. Be strong and courageous. Every promise bears its fruit. Did I not command you? Be strong and courageous. Every fear you're feeling right now, don't let it cage us from the territory. I already gave the order. Be strong and courageous. Step across that border between the fear and everything I promised. Did I not command you? And my word is always honest with the battle, honest with the victory, honest with the road. Be strong and courageous. I'm with you where you go. Whatever that you go means there is nowhere unprotected. Every road I walk with him is covered and directed. Directed by a presence that precedes my every footstep. Every be strong and courageous was the ultimate two-step of obedience. Move forward, I'll be with you. Every day that I command you means he already went through the territory and declared the ground is taken. Be strong and courageous, you were never once forsaken. Forsaken on the battlefield, forsaken in the cross, and every fear I ever had, his presence kept on tossing to the side like obstacles beneath the sovereignty. Be strong and courageous, that's the word he gave to me. The most unlikely candidate for marching into battle. Every day I not command you made my fears turn into gravel underneath my feet as I keep moving forward. Be strong and courageous, and the Lord is always toward. Wherever you go, he is already there. Be strong, be courageous. He commanded it, and he never commands alone. Waiting is the hardest thing they never teach you in the training. Every season of the waiting felt like nothing but complaining to a heaven that seemed silent and unmoved. Every be strong and wait upon the Lord, my faith was proved not in the getting proved, not in the quick arrival. Every season of the waiting was the school of my survival of a hope that kept on breathing through the silence. Every wait upon the Lord became my greatest act of defiance against the lie that waiting means forgotten. Every seed of strength inside me came from seasons that felt rotten with the delay, rotten with the unanswered mourning. Every bee of good courage came without a single warning that it wouldn't feel like courage when it hit me. Every waiting season had a way of trying to outwit me from the promise, outwit me from the standing. Wait on the Lord, and he will strengthen every landing. Wait on the Lord, and he will strengthen up your heart. Every season of the waiting was just heaven doing its part of building something that the rushing always damages. Wait on the Lord, and watch him handle all the advantages of time and advantages of process. Every bee of good courage moment starts inside the stillness of a soul that chose to trust before they answer. Wait on the Lord, and watch him make you something grander. Strengthened in the waiting, that's the paradox of heaven. Every weak and weary soul that waited got these seven times the courage, 7 times the renewal. Every wait upon the Lord became the most powerful fuel for the journey, fuel for the battle, fuel for the calling. Every season of the waiting kept the chosen ones from falling in the shortcuts, falling into human engineering. Every wait upon the Lord was heaven's way of pioneering something deeper than the instant could produce. Every rushing past the waiting just resulted in abuse of a process that required the full duration. Every bee of good courage was a divine declaration over someone at the edge of their endurance. Wait on the Lord, and he becomes your full assurance that the waiting has a purpose and a reason. Every strengthened heart was forged inside a waiting season. Be strong, let your heart take courage, all you who wait for him. He sees the waiting, he counts every day, and he is never late. Isaiah said it clearly, those who wait will mount like eagles. Every tired and weary soul that waited broke through all the needles of the pressure, needles of the doubt, needles of the timing. Every wait upon the Lord at heaven secretly designing what the rushing and the hurrying would have missed. Every bee of good courage moment added to the list of every season that produced beyond the natural. Every wait upon the Lord made ordinary supernatural. The strength that comes to those who stay entrusted. Every impatient soul who ran ahead just went and missed the version that the waiting was preparing in the hidden. Wait on the Lord and walk into a waiting has been building, and he will strengthen up your heart. Every season of the waiting was just heaven doing its part of building something that got the rush and always damages. Wait on the Lord and watch him handle all the advantages. Advantages of timing, advantages of process. Every bit of good courage moment starts inside the stillness. Stillness of a soul that chose to trust before the answer. Wait on the Lord and watch him make you something grand. Every heart that waited came out stronger than the one that rushed. Every promise God prepared was never meant to be rushed. Rushed through the process, rushed through the preparation, rushed through the making. Every weight upon the Lord was just his time of undertaking. Undertaking something greater than the timeline could imagine. Every season of the waiting had a purpose and a passion. Passion of a father building carefully and slowly. Every weight upon the Lord produced the most holy version of the calling, holy version of the vessel. Every impatient heart that ran ahead lost every wrestle. Wrestle for the time and wrestle for the process. Wrestle for the promise. Wait on the Lord, and every season will be honest. Honest with the purpose, honest with the building, honest with the strengthening. Every heart that waited on the Lord just kept on lengthening. Lengthening in faith, lengthening in courage, lengthening in standing. Wait on the Lord and walk into the promised land. Still waiting, still strong, still courageous. He's worth the wait, hey! And the wait is worth it. Eyes on the giant and the giant just kept growing. Every second that I stared, the fear just kept on flowing. Flowing through the veins of someone built for something greater. Every magnified opponent made me feel like I was later. Later to the calling, later to the purpose, later to the fight. Every giant I gave focus to just block the light. Light of what was really standing on my side completely. Every giant only wins when you let him occupy you deeply, deeply in the mind, deeply in the vision, deeply in the morning. Every focus fear became a self-fulfilling warning. Warning of a fall that started not with weakness but with where I looked. Every Peter sinking in the water had the same outlook. Outlook locked on ways instead of on the one who called him. Every giant grew to maximum the moment fear enthralled him. And thought of vision, and thought of focus, and thought of mental. Focus on the giant and the giant gets more central. Focus on the giants and you fall. Focus on the God and giants fall. Fall at the feet of someone who forgot to be afraid. Focus on the God and watch the giant getting laid. Lay flat on the ground the way the Goliath always does. Focus shift from giant to the God, and that's because giant only holds the power that your focus gives. Focus on the God and watch how differently life lives. 12 spies saw the land and 10 of them saw giants first. Every giant magnified above the promise is the worst. Worst position for a soul assigned to take the territory. Every focus fear rewrote the ending of the story. Story that was written as a victory became a wonder. And every 40 years of wilderness was born from pondering. Pondering the size of what was standing in the way. Every Caleb, every Joshua just had a different say. Say about the same exact terrain, the same exact opponents. Every focus faith produced a different set of components. Components of a courage that the fearful never access. Every giant shrinks the moment God becomes the focus. Focus of the morning, focus of the battle, focus of the rising. Every giant standing in your way should not be surprising. Surprising is the God who makes the giant look like nothing. Focus on the God and watch the giant become something. The giant is not the problem. Your focus is shift your eyes from the giant to the God and watch which one gets smaller. David never measured Goliath against his own ability. Every sling he loaded was a statement of humility. Humility of focus, not on size but on the sender. Every giant fell to someone who refused to surrender. Surrender the perspective that the enemy is bigger. Every focus faith just kept on pulling back the trigger. Trigger of a faith that aimed at giants through the Father. Every focused warrior on the God just went much farther. Farther than the fearful, farther than the 10 who wandered. Every giant in my story shrank the moment that I pondered. Pondered not on what was standing there, but who was standing with me. Focus on the God, and every giant loser swiftly fell to one that David never gave a second look. Every focus eye on God rewrote the ending of the book. Focus on the giant, and you fall. Focus on the God, and giants fall. Fall at the feet of someone who forgot to be afraid. Focus on the God and watch the giant getting laid. Lay flat on the ground the way the Goliath always does. Focus shift from giant to the God, and that's because the giant only holds the power that your focus gives. Focus on the God and watch how differently life lives.
Every giant in your life is just a test of where you're looking. Every focused eye on God already had the enemy shook. Shook before the battle, shook before the confrontation. Every giant fell to focus, faith and bold declaration. Declaration of a God whose size reduces every mountain. Every focused life on him just tapped the endless fountain. Fountain of a courage that the giant cannot measure. Every focused eye on God just turned the giant into treasure. Treasure of a testimony that required a concentration. Every giant in my path became my greatest demonstration. Demonstration of a God who shows up when the focus shifts. Every eye locked on him just gave my spirit massive lifts. Lifts above the giant lifts, above the fear lifts, above the ceiling. Every focus, faith on God produced the most freeing feeling. Feeling that the giant never was as big as what he's selling. Focus on the God and watch the giant start to swell. Swelling on me, shrinking at the sight of where I'm looking. Focus on the God and every giant gets the booking. Looking for a fall that was already in the schedule. Focus on the God and giants never stay at equal. Stop looking at the giant. Look at God. The giant already knows it's over. Focus.
Yeah. He can and he will. Oh, yeah. Ayo, take it. Stood in front of empty and declared it would be filled. Every natural impossibility was just his next reveal. Reveal of a provision that was waiting in the spirit. Every moment that I needed, he was already near it. Near it with the answer, near it with the supply, near it with the resource. Every open hand I lifted, he became my only source. Source that never dries up, source that never calculates the limit. Every season of the need, he was already in it. In it with the miracle, in it with the supernatural. Every empty situation met a God whose ways aren't factual. Factual to human logic, factual to natural reasoning. Every provision that he sent just kept on increasing. Increasing past the measure. But what asking could have covered every need I ever brought to him, a new supply discovered. Discovered in the hands that made the universe from nothing. He can provide, and that's the only thing worth trusting. He can and he will. That's the declaration. Every empty season was just preparation. Preparation for a provision nobody saw arriving. He can and he will. And that's the reason I'm surviving. Surviving seasons that the natural said were finished. He can and he will. And nothing gets diminished. Diminished in his hands. Impossible, he multiplied. He can and he will. And that's no surprise. With a had a jar of oil and a handful left of flour. Every natural calculation says she run out within the hour. Hour came and went, and still the barrel kept on giving. Every he can provide moment is the reason I kept living. Living past the deadline, living past the empty, living past the limit. Every miracle of provision had his fingerprints all in it. In it, from the start, in it, from before the need presented. Every open hand before the Father never went unattended. Unattended is a word that heaven doesn't recognize. Every need I brought to him just met his open eyes. Eyes that saw the widow, eyes that saw Elijah in the desert. Every he can provide, declared it gets increasingly clearer, clearer. That's the God who fed 5,000 from 5 loaves. Every season of provision broke through every door that closed. Close is just a word that doesn't mean the same to heaven. He can and he will, and that has always been my 7. You think he brought you this far to let you run out now? The same God who provided then is the same God standing here. He can, he really can, and he will. Abraham called a mountain by the name of God. Provides every Jehovah Jireh moment. Change the tides of every season where the need I ran to heaven. He can and he will, and that truth keeps on adding to the testimony, adding to the evidence, adding to the story. Every provision that he sent just added to his glory. Glory of a God whose supply chain has no limit. Every season of the need was just his way of being in it. In it as the provider, in it as the source, in it as the answer. He can and he will, and nothing moves him faster, faster to the need of those who trust his capability. He can and he will, and that's my full ability. He can and he will. That's the declaration. Every empty season was just preparation. Preparation for a provision nobody
doubt that said the barrel would run empty before morning. He can and he will, and that was always heaven's warning. Warning to the lack, warning to the deficit, warning to the empty. Every need I brought before him, he had more than plenty. Plenty in provision, plenty in supply, plenty of the supernatural. Every he can provide is more than just rhetorical. Rhetorical is what the faith is calling when they haven't seen it. He can and he will, and I've lived long enough to mean it. Mean it from the bottom of a season that looked hopeless. He can and he will, and that truth made me the most focused on a God whose hands are never empty, never closing. He can and he will, and every need of mine he's solving what the natural declared impossible and over. He can and he will, and I walked out like it's October in the spring into the season of the harvest. He can and he will, and that has always been the hardest truth to trust before the provision makes it visible. He can and he will, and every miracle is eligible. Every need you have, he already saw it coming. He already has the answer. Believe it. He can and he will.